stop playing with us. Hey, this is Fourth and Fantasy back at it again with another episode. I am Huncho, and this is my guy.
Siriaco, call me Rocco.
And we're feeling good. We're feeling right. Feeling absolutely amazing on this Thursday night. Rocco, how you doing, my guy?
Oh man, I'm just happy to be happy to be going, happy to record again, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing. And just for us, y'all know what that right hand corner means. This episode is brought to you by our friends, our pals, Fast Draft, the fastest best ball platform out there. Best ball, where you know how you feeling, who's trying to put money in your pocket. 250,000 plus to be exact, playing all rookie, all defense, all flex formats. And if you use our promo codes fourth, Fast Draft will double your first deposit up to $50. I repeat, if you use our promo codes fourth, Fast Draft will double your first deposit
Uh,
up to $50.
I'm pointing at fourth.
Right
Nothing
there,
else.
right there. You feel me? But just so y'all know, for tonight's episode, we're continuing what we did in our last episode, where we were going over foundational pieces in Dynasty. We talked about the quarterbacks and the running backs. Today, we're going to go ahead and talk about receivers and tight ends. But Rocco, let the audience know something real quick.
I've been workshopping this, so let me know what y'all think. Fourth and Fantasy. It's a podcast for Dynasty sickos by Dynasty sickos. But y'all welcome, everybody.
I like it. I like it. It's nice and sexy. Y'all know. Listen, I've met some real dynasty sickos. Y'all motherfuckers who like to. Oh, I love drafting. Those are the real sickos. Those are the real sickos. They're like,
Sicko right here, man. 40 leagues.
hey, listen. Somebody was like, they had asked me, "Are you are?" Because I told them last season how many leagues I was in. So they're like, "Are you still in set number of leagues?" And I was like,
Fuck
"Yeah."
yeah.
I dropped some and ended up, getting invited into some others, and now I'm back up until the 40 pieces. I actually think I'm around like 47 ish leagues right now. So 40's going crazy, going ham, going stupid. It can't stop. You feel me? I need to be checked into the loony bin at this point because, but if people gonna be like, oh, and people, because some people will be like, oh, I bet you don't even stay active, or you're make trades and all of them. Like, nah, I do my pretty good due diligence of making sure I'm taking at least one or each of them each day or each every other day to make sure either a my lineup is set, or I need to make some type of changes to the team. And then there's a lot of teams I ended up taking as orphans, and so I always like a good challenge. A lot of the teams I turned around at this point, but y'all know,
Mhm.
47 leagues. I might have to chop some down at the end of the season, just because I already know I'm going to join more next season. So, nevertheless, man, you
That's
know
what I'm
what it
talking
be.
about.
Real sickos, real dynasty sickos. Y'all understand it, man. Once you join one league, it's hard to stop.
I ain't pushing 47, but I'm pushing some. I'm definitely portfolio players, and you know, I'm trying to win all of them. I might have a couple rebuilds, but I'm a contender, and I'd say over probably about 40% of them.
Like Ash Ketchum, I gotta get them all. Catch them all. You feel me? Stop playing with them. I gotta do all the drafts. I gotta have all the scenarios. I have to have the 12 team, the 14 team, the 16 team. I need the best ball formats. I need to see what this type of scoring looks like to be able to, well, you never know what type of scenario you get in each league. To me personally, right, is different on scoring.
Hmm.
where what you would do for a tight end premium league, super flex is going to be different than what you would do with a one quarterback type format, or what you do for a running back premium league. And then just if it wasn't tight end premium, you're going to have a different type of way you do your draft. You're going to have a different way you build your team in that direction. But we're going to get on more of that throughout the summer because we want to
bro.
get back into the fantasy side.
Oh, I just wanted to quick aside, man. I seen you made a move for CMC. You sent out that 26 first.
Well, I'm
I'm
sorry.
like, I'm like, fuck it. Give me JT.
No,
Arms race. I need
bro,
I need to keep up. I
that
seen you made
trade.
a move and you inspired me. I
I am
fuck
glad.
it.
I'm glad.
If he take it first, I'm gonna send him a first. I'm gonna get JT on the squad.
Hey, listen, I'm glad that you did that, and you might be a smart man. I think that was before the news of Anthony Richardson came out, and I'm looking at it. I'm just like that actually might be good for Jonathan Taylor because that means they lean when it comes to rushing wise, they lean more on him. But that trade
Mm.
for CMC was just chilling for a few days. I think I sent that maybe 2 days ago, and he finally accepted it today. When I made the trade, when I sent it, I was just like, all right, what if CMC is back? He is one of those league winner type of guys. And once
Hmm.
again, I'm not really big on the 2026 class, and I think what he can give me right now is well worth of putting me into that group of guys who can contend. And so right now I'm feeling good. I think that took me from more of around the middle of the pack to
Hmm.
top four ish. I might I know you're in that upper echelon of guys in that league of competing.
Well, I won the championship last year, so
I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying. So I'm trying to get back. I'm trying to what I'm saying, make myself a little bit more competitive this
just,
year, and hopefully the younger pieces on my team step up.
just in a dynasty strategy, I saw that he was taking a first for some of his more vet players. So I said, let me see what other vet players he has on his team. Oh, he has JT. He probably thinks he's a vet. Let me fucking steal him off the roster
I'm telling you,
and
bro.
fortify my running backs, which I already have elite wide receivers. So you know, I just I get inspired sometimes when I see trades, and especially when I see you know signs that somebody might be rebuilding before the season even starts. I'm
Yeah,
like, shit, I better get in this.
those are some of the pieces. Like I think if you and I'm always the advocate on if you have a guy that you're really, really are looking to acquire, go get him. It might bite you and might not, but nevertheless, if you need them or if you want them on your team, not even fucking, you not even need it. If you want them on your team, go get them. No, I'm not typically. I haven't been on the go acquire Christian
Hmm.
McCaffrey train this offseason, but hell, sometimes taking a risk, and I'm one of those people who very much. I like to take risks. If you get burnt, you get burnt. Fuck it, but you live to fight another day. I'm one of
Hmm.
those type of dynasty or just fantasy players in general. So
And if I can get a deal for a foundational piece
yeah,
or a tier two foundational piece both of those guys are fucking hammering it. Foundation.
and that is a great transition to tonight's topic. Rocco, lead us off, man, to your foundational receivers. Like what? And when I'm going to throw you another question out here for on this one because I think when it comes to actually yes, let's talk about since I think actually before we hit on the receivers, I believe let's hit on the tight ends just due to there's just not that many when it comes
Yeah, it's
to
a short ass discussion with tight ends, so
right.
we're gonna finish this motherfucker off with
Mother-
wide receivers because we're gonna have some arguments.
I like it. I like it. I think
coming
it's
up.
sexy. I
We
think
ain't
it's
gonna be so friendly by the end of this episode.
yeah. I might
But
slap the shit out of Rocco through the computer. We just never know. Just playing, dog. You know you my G, dog. Yeah, I'm fucking with you. Yeah,
he gonna
I'm
show
fucking
up at
with
my house
you.
and
Right.
not for Mardi Gras.
He said, "Pull up, dog. Pull up. Stop lying." But listen, man. I feel like when it comes to this list, it's fairly short just due to the overall nature of the position. But things could be a little different just depending on your league scoring settings, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
how much of a value or emphasis they put on tight ends. I feel like if it's just a standard, there's nothing, there's no premium for tight ends, just the overall this is the shit. That's the list is very, 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 very slim.
Yep.
But if it's like you have some type of tight end premium, I think it adds maybe one or two guys. It's just depending on if you have these guys, your tight end spot, you feel at least good for a year, 2 year, 3 years out type shit.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think when we're talking about foundational tight ends, you already the player that you have to start with, Mr. Brock Bowers. That's the number one. That's the active.
Fuck yeah.
It's a generational piece, Mister. You know how I feel about again. Go motherfucking dog. Stop
Brock
playing with
Bowers
us. We
parties.
put out premium players. Stop with them dogs. I'm not listen. I'm not. I could go down the whole little rabbit hole. I almost just started freestyling right there, and y'all don't want that shit tonight. Y'all don't know. That's how much I'm feeling myself. But Brock Bowers, if you have him, you're basically, I think honestly, you're probably set for the next decade, barring injury. You have your starter for Dynasty. You know how many people have tried to get him off of my roster? And for all the people in Sleeper, you know how they now have added the feature to where you can add your team's logo next to your tag or your name on
Hmm.
Sleeper. So I have my Dallas Cowboys, of course, because stop fucking with us. Georgia Bulldogs, and then I got Atlanta Braves. You know how many people still come to me asking for Lad McConkey, asking for Brock Bowers. I'm like, bro, go dogs. I'm not trading my boys. I'm not trading my guys. Fuck is wrong? The decline is not happening. Brock Bowers, I feel like when you have him, he's one of those guys that I'll tell you how really good he was. There's a particular league I'm in. I believe the premium altogether is like tight end score, I believe, like 4 points per reception.
Hmm.
Is either 3 points or 4 points per reception.
4 points per reception.
It's either that. It's either three or
Kind of crackhead scoring y'all got in that one.
it might be. Listen, tight ends has such a crazy premium. Brock Bauer
That's
scored
fucking
over.
nuts.
He scored over 500 fantasy points last year. Him and McBride, I believe, scored over 500 fantasy points. They're the way they're priced right now. This is will tell you the value of the tight end in this league. Tyler Warren went 103 in this league. That's the value of the tight end in this league. That's how crazy Tyler Warren went at 103. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So
4 point tight end premium.
crazy shit.
That shit don't even sound right. That's just. I bet.
When
I bet there's some people that drafted that league didn't realize that shit and completely faded tight end.
bro, listen,
Because
my
you know they got a subset of people in every league that just
no,
don't check any of the rules,
you're right.
and then like when the draft is almost over, they're like, "What?
You're right. They're like,
You
what?
need a you
Tight
need to start two quarterbacks, tight end score 4 point premium? Shit,
this is also my time to shoot a stray at Mr. Goal Line. That's you. You know who you is if you watch our content in Triple Crown. the one that always be bitching about shit, the one in the group chat. You don't know. You're killing
No.
me, Smalls. The one who. All right, we go. Anyway, this is member in the league that we're in that literally no matter what you do, no, you could do something that the whole like 9 out of 12, 10 out of 12 people in the league said yes to. Two people said no. Or
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
thank you.
You
Now
talking
you
about
know.
that dude that be writing all them paragraphs. I
Yes,
ain't got time
Mr.
for that shit.
Mr.
I'm in too many leagues to be reading all them damn paragraphs. I see all them paragraphs. I'm like, I'm out. I'm
Mr.
out.
Dot.
I
Yeah,
ain't reading all that shit. I'm happy for y'all. Sorry that happened.
yeah, Mr. Dot dot dot. No, him, that motherfucker. Yeah, him. Yeah.
No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no, no. Yeah, we
no,
ain't.
no, no.
We're not.
Like I would have been just fucking kicked his ass. Like
I thought about it. I
you
did.
just you like you gotta learn people that make the shit not fun. It's better off just getting them out. If you got to give them a refund, give them a refund. But anybody that's a Debbie Downer, like consistently on some bullshit,
I'm telling you.
man, I don't want to play with you. I fucking leave leagues for that. But luckily, when it happened, I started getting more busy with work shit, so I couldn't like exactly follow along. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't because that dude would just I would just like scroll and then scroll.
I thought
And
you
I'm
got it,
like,
Chief.
I've been scrolling for 30 seconds. I don't even know when this shit started.
I was like, you got it,
And
bro.
I would read like a couple sentences and like y'all are talking in circles. Like there's
Right.
like no point. No, bro, just fucking. If you don't like it, go. If you don't
Sorry.
like it, get the fuck.
And sorry, y'all. We just got to go on that tangent because that boy really be he really know how to touch a nerve. But back to the
Them
regular,
paragraphs.
fuck them goddamn paragraphs, man. Anyway, Brock Bowers and Trey McBride at the when I'm looking at this list of foundational
Hmm.
tight ends, those are my two that I have. If that comes straight off the top of the dome. If we're keeping this very straight on the tight end position, people might be like, "Where's Sam Laporta?" Yes, Sam Laporta had a really good rookie year, and it might have not been his fault last year, but he also phased the fuck out. I'm sorry. Is it?
Mm-mm.
Do I feel good? I mean, do I feel like he's young enough to I can give a couple give a couple years and have him as my starter. Yeah, but he's not giving me like I don't feel like it's a guarantee of production. And a lot of people drafted him fairly high. After his rookie year, a lot of people were going bananas of where they were drafting him in startups. And that burnt you. So I'm keeping that list very short to Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. But in tight end premium leagues, I feel like since there's more value on the tight end, you're able to sneak a few more guys in there
Hmm.
that you can call foundational theoretically to help your team. And that's what I could be like, all right, I could see where you would throw a Sam Laporta. I could see if we're allowing. I know we don't in our pre when we were talking about the quarterbacks and running backs, we were talking about we don't really like to put rookies on these lists just because we haven't seen them. But we gave the we let Ashton Genty be on his list just because we know one he has the talent and he's going to be able to give us a volume and production. So he has those three.
I
He has
see where you're
talent,
going with this.
right?
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
you see what I'm
mm.
doing, baby.
I
So
see
listen,
you.
so Tylen Warren, I think he
Mm-mm.
deserves to be on this. I think the way he's going to be used is the cost now. Got to wait and see. But that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about tight end premiums. I think he goes into that list of guys that you could theoretically throw on that list.
In theory, yes, but he is he is a rookie, and I don't know who's throwing the ball in week one. If it's Daniel Jones, I want out. I don't want any part of that. because now you looking at you got Tyler Warren, yes, but you also got Michael Pittman who's coming back healthy. You got Josh Downs who was pretty good last year, and I don't see Daniel Jones supporting all of those guys. Um, it's a very narrow path for AR to do the same, and it's kind of pissing me off that he's hurt already. So, you know, let him move on to greener pastures, but that's not part of our foundational tight end story. So, yeah, uh, but when I'm thinking foundational, there's two guys, and I really want to put a third guy in there, but he's a little bit older than the other guys in a dynasty setting. That age makes him just the slightest bit below these guys. So for me, I got two top tier one tight ends,
Hmm.
easy. Trey McBride, Brock Bowers been talking about this the whole time on the topic.
I can fuck with it.
1,100 yard upside, close to 1,200 yards for Brock Bowers in his rookie season. So, you know, besides those two, the only other guy that has 1,100 yard upside is George Kittle.
Yeah.
And he's, all of them are in either good offenses or offenses on the rise. So those three guys, those three guys are my foundational guys. Nobody else that I see out here is even getting close to 1,100 yards. The
No,
only way they're getting there is with touchdowns. And, touchdowns come and touchdowns go
and
for
that's what makes
a
me a little.
lot of people except for like the very super elite.
Yeah, like the super elite tight ends. Like it makes me a little. Sometimes I feel like the tight end position is very tight end dependent, just depending on the overall
Mm-hmm.
offensive scheme. And the question I wanted to ask you was, would you chart it as for the tight ends when people consider who is tight end one? Would you be like it's 1A and 1B between Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, but instead of saying 1 and 2, it's 1A and 1B?
Um, I think they're in a tier of their own, but to me, Brock Bowers has to be considered the better player right now, just because he is the unquestioned number one target on that team.
That's the
He
right
did
answer.
it. He did it in his fucking rookie year.
Yeah,
112 fucking receptions in his rookie year. And think about this. He had fucking Gardner Minshew,
Carter.
Aiden
Yeah,
O'Connell, and fucking Desmond Riddler throwing in the fucking ball.
the Redler Deadler.
Con- Compared to those guys, he must, it's like he got the baddest ass quarterback in the league with Geno Smith now. He's got a coach that understands offensive football, understands football, period. Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit for this guy. I mean, could he get 120 catches next year? He definitely can improve from his 5 touchdowns because I
For
see
sure.
him having a much better offense. So sky's the limit for him. I do see Trey McBride's touchdowns going up next year. He's got to score more than two.
I
And I
feel like
do see
that's a
Marvin
given.
Harrison getting a little bit better. So I think that will actually help him take a
Mm,
little bit of the coverage away from him. But I mean, both of them could very well get 1,100 plus yards this year. And I also see the same for Kittle. I think he's still a big part of the offense. You got Jawan Jennings, and you got Brandon Ayuk coming off injury. You got Pearsall, who's already hurt, so he can definitely keep up what he did last year. So I think those three, if you got those three, you're feeling really good about your foundational tight end. And if you don't have those three, I'm good with mixing and matching guys or getting, a secondary guy. A guy who kind of broke out last year and who is still super undervalued would be a Jonnu Smith, only because I only seen him do it really last year is the reason why he's not in a foundational piece. But if he
it can't be in my
does what he did last year, he is absolutely a foundational guy.
He can't be in my foundational man.
88 catches,
And I love it.
886 yards, 8 touchdowns.
And so there's a singer out there. His name is Vito, right? and he has a song called Seasons. And that's I'm just gonna say he Mr. Johnu Smith, he can very much give you production. I still think he'll have a good year in 2025, but it's I don't know, man. It's just so hard, and I feel like in his last two, I say 2 years or so, and then if we're also thinking about the overall, once again, the nature of the tight end
Hmm.
position, it's a position that takes a little bit more time to actually get going, right?
Hmm.
So you don't typically guys don't hit their stride really until their mid 20s, unless unless when this past year where we seen with Laporta come in and do his thing his rookie year, we seen Bowers comes in his rookie year, does his thing. Shit, Kyle Pitts came in his rookie year and did his thing. Honestly, and then they have their sophomore year or a few years down the line and they have injury. Shoot, how many people would have had TJ Hawkinson in their on their list of foundational guys a few years back when he was tearing it up? So, and yeah, John Smith, if you when we're looking at it and when you look at the numbers, athletically, that shit is beautiful. What they do with on that overall Miami offense now. If I don't think it'll happen now. It could, but if he ends up getting traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which has been talked about, this has been
Fuck that.
you're fucked.
Fuck that.
Value shit. First off, I don't even know what they're gonna do. They would have to. They, in my mind, it would have to be doing a lot of 12 personnel or Pat is getting moved somehow, some way. I just feel like I don't know what, and then you have Darnell Washington, so that means somebody, or you're cutting Darnell Washington, or somebody's interested in Darnell Washington and you're moving him. But I think with Trey McBride, so you got Brock Bowers, you have Trey McBride.
Hmm.
You could, yeah, I wouldn't argue with you if you decide to put Sam Laporta on there. I would love to see what he does this year to be. I hope he has a bounce back year to be actually cemented more with those foundational pieces. I
Hmm.
still don't think he's in that tier with Trey McBride and Brock Bowers. I think it'll be their tier one, and then he'll be in that tier two of guys, and then that tier two of guys is a very long list of individuals. I think, but if we're talking about guys who I think who could still be playing, I think Mark Andrews, depending on who you ask.
Hmm.
And there's been a lot of noise in the offseason of people think that the Baltimore Ravens are going to move him and things of that nature. Does that kill his value? But honestly, if we're being keeping the buck, keeping it green all the way steady, Mark Andrews is still one of the better tight ends in the NFL. Yes, he had that drop in the playoffs, broke a lot of Ravens' hearts. Y'all get
Hmm.
the fuck over it. I feel like y'all choke. I can't really talk because I'm a Cowboys fan, but y'all choke just like we do. So join the table. But nevertheless, I think he and I think you created a nice spreadsheet that talks about like tiers of foundational guys. I think which
Hmm.
is a really smart way to go about it. I think when we're talking about tier two foundational
Hmm.
pieces, you would throw in Mark Andrews, and then I think of the T.J. Hawkinses. I think of the George Kittles of the world. Shit. At one point, shit. Evan Ingram. Depending on if this is best ball, it's no, no, a different format. So different. I feel like if so,
I'm gonna tell you
Dynasty.
why.
It's a
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm gonna
yeah.
tell you why Mark Andrews is not foundational. Because he was so easy to get this off season. If he was truly foundational, people would be holding on for dear life. Nobody's gonna give you Brock Bowers. Nobody's gonna give you Trey McBride unless you're giving up foundational pieces. Some of these other guys, I can get for a song.
I mean, I feel
I can get
like
these guys for a second round pick. Some of these guys.
I could fight you back on that one only because it's the tight end position that could already be people depends on how someone values that spot, right? And then Mark Andrews is older. So like Trey McBride is 25. Brock Bowers is 22 compared to Mark Andrews, who's a 29 type of guy, and he just. I mean, I'm not, and he was injured. I think he got injured about 2 years
Oh,
ago. Yeah,
I like
he's.
him. Don't get me wrong.
I like.
I probably got about a 30% share because everybody was just trying to give him to me.
I like him. I'm still in on Mark Andrews, and this is why I have to throw in also the format, right? Because in best ball, I'm still going Mark Andrews every single time. Now, dynasty wise, where you have to consider age and things in that nature, sure,
Hmm.
then you can throw in those factors, and he might fall off that list. But best ball wise, I don't think there's a lot of more tight ends that are in better situations, and also have schemes that implement them. Like the Baltimore Ravens offense plays on their tight ends, and then they go to their wide receivers. So I think that works really well for Mark Andrews. And then you got other guys. I've never really been on the David Njoku train. I still like David Njoku, and I
Yeah,
say that, and he goes off for the most randomest fucking games and gives somebody like a 20 pointer.
he's a really good tight end, but I think really good tight end and foundational is kind of like a different. You know, all these guys I would like to have on my team, but I feel like the true difference makers, are the three we uh we talked about. Um, and these other guys are just good tight ends I'd like to have on my team, but I don't consider them, a foundational piece.
And that's why it's very short, this tight end list, because yes, and that's why the tight end spot is kind of why is one of those positions I kind of just wait in startups to get, just because if it's not McBride or Bowers, I'm chilling. I'm not really in no
Hmm.
rush to get a guy. Shit, I go get fucking Pat Fryermuth and feel just fine about my day. After that point, I'm just gonna keep getting other elite, or not elite, but just better guys. Though I feel like at the running back position or the receiver position, or if I need to go get another quarterback, I would do that before I really start diving in on tight ends. But once again, depends on the scoring format. But yes, foundational pieces, tight ends. We're going really for a fourth in fantasy. Two guys and three, we'll say with an asterisk. Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, and who is that last guy, Rocco?
George Kittle, I have him as
Boop, 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 boop.
a foundational tier two,
Yes,
not
sir.
because of production, but because of age.
Yes, sir. Now, let's move on to the bread and butter, the hype, the right of this episode, the sexy, the receivers, the divas, as you would say in the NFL, or some would say in the
Oh yeah.
NFL. Y'all know how I feel about my and how I like to go about building my dynasty teams, just my fantasy teams in general. I like myself a good receiver core, just because I feel like those are the guys that retain the most value in dynasty, especially the young ones. And that is a crazy sentence to say now that I just said that out loud. But the
No, did it?
no diddy, bro. But the younger receivers, I feel like
No
they
Epstein.
they keep their value, and also they're also the ones that are harder to trade for. Trying to get yourself a Brian Thomas Jr. right now,
Hmm.
it can be done, but it's not going to be cheap. Trying to get yourself a Malik Neighbors is damn near senile. It's not. It's not. It's not like. It's not. It's not. You're going to have to come out of pocket. Even a Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel like the you have to. These are the guys you buy on dips. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a guy you probably should have just been buying last year when he wasn't putting up numbers and everybody was ready to jump off ship. You feel me? Yes, thank you, Rocco, for showing us. This is the spreadsheet that Rocco has been working on foundational pieces. I'm gonna let you take over and just explain here.
All right. So, um, for me, I have seven tier one foundational receivers, and I got them color coded just to kind of show the tiers. And I'm cool. You could go either fucking way. I mean, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. You're talking about not only the upside with 1,500 yards plus, but just the floor of every year, just kind of doing it, on a per game basis. Just if they're out in the field, they're doing it. I also got Amon-Ra St. Brown, C.D. Lamb. I got them in the very next tier, and these guys are so close to these top guys. I know you got a bone to pick with C.D. Lamb, but
I was ready to slip the
just
shot.
because of last year's down season, I have him in the very. If we were talking after the 2024 season, I'd have been right on board after that 1,700 yard season. He's a little bit behind right now. My next tier is Puka and Nico. They missed a few games last year, but they are right there, target monsters. And maybe the most controversial, it's not too controversial for me, Drake London. You can see with those 9.3 targets per game, that's well over 150 targets in a season. And I guess the through line for all of these guys are the targets. You can see the guys with the least amount of targets per game, Amon Ra and Nico, still were on pace for 141 fucking targets. Oh my god,
Goodness.
that's that's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. But feel free to disagree. You can maybe want to put some of those year two guys right there. I have a little bit more questions about them. That's why I still have them covered. But let's go ahead and kind of talk about our tier one.
Yeah, I'm ready to get on your ass, man. Because the way
Get in
you
there.
ready to get on,
No,
oh,
did it?
whoa, 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 my goodness, no,
Oh shit! Scrub that. Edit.
right. Let's bring it back a little bit, baby.
Oh shit! That was worse than
I'm,
Dynasty Dog.
I'm telling you, my G. Oh my god, but
Oh man, I mic'd that one up.
so when Rocco showed me this, I was just like, all right, I can't. It really just depends on who you are, but I'm putting CD Lamb always in the same tier as Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. When they bring up and they show the top five, I believe the fastest receivers or the most yards in the receivers' first 5 or 6 seasons, I believe it's 5 seasons. You see Justin Jefferson and in that top five, and then you also see CD Lamb. And CD Lamb in that time hasn't always had Dak Prescott. So what I like about Mr. CD Lamb, and this is not me being no Cowboys biased. I think even if I wasn't a Cowboys fan, he's somebody who I would consider in that top three, just because he's around the same age as Jamar, not even Jamar Chase. I believe it's Justin Jefferson. They're around the same age,
Mhm.
and then on top of that, they have around the same production and I think with CD, if he had Dak in those games, he would even have the same yards or about or more at the point. But then you look at other guys like Amon Ross St. Brown. That's when I would do the cutoff. So it would be like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CD Lamb, the cutoff. I think Amon Ross St. Brown is a really good wide receiver. And once again, I'm not going to fight with you if you think he should be considered. Yes, I would actually. I take that back. I'm going to fight with you every foot, tooth, and nail because yeah, I don't think he's really good. He is really really good, but I don't think he's in that same tier of guys, right? And then I think he should be tiered with the Pukas. I think he should be tiered with the Nego Collins, and that's still a good tier of guys, still good foundational pieces, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Now, hear me out, Rocco. There's a lot of people, and I've seen this happen. I think we're in a league where this happened, where there are individuals who very much trade away, or not sorry, trade away in startup drafts. They pick Malik Neighbors over CD Lamb, and he's and since after his rookie year. I know you have those guys grayed out currently right now as your tier two foundational wide
Hmm.
receivers, and this could be a nice discussion to have. But going into this year, who are some guys that you're looking at right now that could ascend into that tier one of foundational receivers? I think Drake London could, what depending on what he does with Michael Penix this year, because now he doesn't have Boo Boo Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball. I think he is one of those guys that has potential to jump into that tier one of foundational pieces. I think Brian Thomas, we all love him, had a really good rookie year. We're going to have to see what he does with T Law, and now having Travis Hunter, and overall the that offense, see how they're gelling. But I think he's another one of those guys still would consider a foundational piece and
Hmm.
could ascend into that tier one of fellas. But yeah, as you give me your end piece of that, like who are guys that
Yeah, I mean, for me, Drake London's already in tier one. I mean, 1271, nine
oh yeah, you're right. Sorry,
touchdowns.
my bad. I read that wrong. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, he's solidly in tier one. You're talking about a guy that could lead the league in targets. Um, with my tier two guys, these guys can also be target monsters, especially Garrett Wilson and Malik Neighbors, JSN.
mhm.
But they have a little bit more question marks about him. Malik Neighbors, New York Giants, who's going to be his quarterback. BTJ, he's got a brand new guy that could push to be a wide receiver one. You just dubbed him and Travis Hunter as both guys that you think could get 1,000 yards in 2025. What does that do for his total upside? Lad McConkey,
Mm.
they added some receiver talent in that room, and they want to be a run heavy team, as evidenced by taking a running back in round one and signing Najee Harris. JSN, Dick Hammer. What else do I have to say about that? AJ Brown, I think he's one of the most efficient per touch receivers in the whole league. And damn it, he should be in tier one, but he doesn't get the targets because they're such a run heavy team. And they have another guy that's damn near close to a wide receiver one on that team. Garrett Wilson, he might lead the league in targets, but he is still playing with Justin Fields, who has his own set of question marks. And he hasn't done it yet like these other guys in tier one. So each of these guys got to have a little bit of question marks, but each of them could put up that tier one foundational production in 2025. That's why they're right there.
That's kind of wild piece that you don't even have Marvin Harrison Jr. on this joint.
Didn't do it yet.
That's not his fault though. I'm gonna have to keep. I'm gonna have
It
to
doesn't
fight.
matter, Paul. He just didn't
I'm
do it
gonna have
yet. I
to
need to
every
see
time.
it
God damn it,
before you
Rocky.
can get in this list. He could easily jump into that list if he does it, but they can come out and he could be running those dummy X routes next year and doing the same exact shit they did this year with Trey McBride getting all the targets and none of the touchdowns. So I need to kind of see a little bit more from him, even though he is on pace. He has the talent, the pedigree, the college production, the draft capital to be in that tier. I just need to see a little bit more. At least give me a fucking 1,000 yards, something that I can say he can do it. Don't give me 80 targets. Give me 140 targets, and you could be there too.
Okay, I can't fight you too much on that one. And if all right, so the rookies this year, like Tetairoa McMillan and Travis Hunter, what would they have to do this year in order for them to be put on your foundational receivers? I already think. I mean, Travis Hunter's a unicorn, right? So
Oh shit!
what?
I didn't mean to interrupt, but fucking Indiana just hit a 3-pointer. They're about to take down OKC, but that ain't fantasy football. So let's keep
This
going.
guy over here got me thinking. It's this guy. It's
My
no,
bad.
no, you're
Keep
good.
going.
You're good. So I think with Tetairoa McMillan and Travis Hunter, within their rookie years, what would they
Mhm.
have to do for them to be put on your foundational receiver? Some might already consider them just due to their draft capital as
Mhm.
foundational pieces.
Outside of Genty, and maybe I'll kick myself in the ass later about it,
Mm,
but outside of Genty, just because we can see the very, very clear path that he's going to get all of the touches in Vegas and his draft capital. It's a little bit different with wide receivers. They have to kind of earn their targets.
mm,
But Roy McMillan could easily, I mean, you look at that wide receiver room, and he's the one that looks the most like an alpha. I mean, maybe Leggett kind of looks like an alpha, but he don't play like an alpha.
mhm,
So you know, Tet can get upwards of 120 targets in year one, push for 1,000 yards, score him some touchdowns, have a shitload of catches, and then he could very easily get into this tier. But I need to kind of see him be a target monster and see him produce with those targets. Um, Hunter, I don't think he can get as many targets. I want to say, unless he really eats into BTJ's workload. Um, but he's just so damn explosive. I think he can be a real weapon in the end zone. Um, and he's going to make a shitload of big plays that if he starts pushing for 1,000 yards, maybe 8 to 10 touchdowns, he's another guy that will be steamed up there. And even if I don't believe that he's necessarily a foundational piece, he will be valued as one in the trade market. So, in that sense, he would have to kind of jump into that list. But if he goes out there and he's playing a lot of defense, he's playing some offense, and he gets you like 800 yards, 5 to 7 touchdowns, then there's no way I can put him on that list.
would you rather have CD Lamb and Lad McConkey as your pair, or Puka Nakua and AJ Brown?
So Puka Nakua and AJ Brown
Yep.
or CD Lamb,
CD Lamb and Lad McConkey.
CD Lamb and Lad McConkey, or Puka and AJ Brown.
Yep.
Um, that's a good one. I am going to have to go with CD Lamb
Good choice.
because I so far in his career he's shown a much higher aptitude of scoring touchdowns than Puka has. I mean, Puka, let's not get it twisted. He can definitely win two legs of the triple crown with yards and catches. But until he gives me that 10 touchdown season, I'm going to have CD Lamb higher than him. And obviously, he's in a different tier. And I believe Dak is going to be a fucking madman this year. And a lot of that yardage is going to be put on CD Lamb. So give me CD Lamb and give me Lad McConkey, who's one of the best separators in the entire league, over the other two guys. But I mean, I really had to think about that one. That's a good thought experiment.
And let's go down that lane a little bit because that's one guy we haven't talked about much actually, and that is Puka, who one he's not a receiver that I am typically selecting. I actually don't think I have selected Puka Nakua in any startup I've done, not because I don't think he's a good player. They're just others in the same range that you have to select them that I
That's
typically.
all. That's only because you didn't get him in rookie drafts.
That is also very true. I'm not. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right.
I think my shares are rookie draft shares,
Mm,
and then he got steamed up so high that typically I think in his range I'm either going for my QB2, or there's another foundational receiver I just like just a little bit more. But I haven't been able to pull a trigger on him in actual startups. But I do have a few. that I drafted him in the fourth round. I picked him up off of waivers, which he has to be like the best waiver wire pickup of all time for those
Now,
that got him in such a manner.
Now, Puka, just in the overall Sean McVay's offense, shout out to him because he's a really creative play caller. And then we got Matthew Stafford, Go Dogs, who has, even at his age, one of still the strongest arms in the NFL. What type of production do you see from Puka? And once again, it all comes down to if he can stay healthy. Because I think when we talk about some of the, the topper echelon of guys, we
Mhm.
can say that has been Puka's Achilles heel. When we look at Justin Jefferson, when we look at the Jamar Chase or a CeeDee Lamb, he's been more banged up than those guys, right? So, what one could you see Puka moving into that tier of a Jamar Chase, a CeeDee Lamb, a uh, Justin Jefferson, and this year with Devontae Adams as his wide receiver too, and just the overall Rams offense, could you see Puka moving up?
Well, I think what Devonte Adams does for that team is it kind of lifts the whole profile of the offense. So I think instead of being somewhat run dependent on Kyron Williams, I think they have two guys that can get open and just eat up defenders all game.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually think, and that was a question I asked in the Discord um, a couple days ago. Like, could these guys actually push, to break some kind of record, for the most combined yards? Because um, we know Matthew Stafford, once he finds a guy that can get open,
Yeah.
he will just spam the shit out of that until you change your coverage. And you can't really change your coverage when you got two guys that can get open at a proficient level, across multiple wide receiver positions, all across the formation. So teams are going to have their work cut out for them. If they can't get pressure on Matthew Stafford quickly, he's going to be going up and down the field. So I actually think it can kind of be like a throwback year for Matthew Stafford. That's why I have him as a trade candidate,
Mm-hmm.
because I easily could envision him having 4,500 yards and in the high 30s and touchdowns, because I think they kind of signaled that's where they were going with this move, because it seems like in the last couple years, Cup's been banged up, and we haven't really seen much of Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua playing really well together at the same
Yeah.
time. I think that's what they're going for with Devonte Adams. And Devonte Adams put up freaking badass numbers on
With
some
shitty ass
shit
Aaron Rodgers, man.
teams, shit
But
everything. So, if that team can stay healthy all year, I think that team is going to be fireworks, and I think that's a team you actually want to, uh, invest in. So, um, yeah, I think Puka could definitely move up. I think he can move up into that Amon Ross St. Brown type of tier, and I think CD Lamb, if he does what he did a couple years ago with that, what he did, 1,700 yards.
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, I
Crazy
think
numbers.
he could. Yeah, I mean, he's shown the ceiling. He's shown the ceiling of a Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. So if he does that, he can definitely, push those guys at the top of that list. But that's what I think about Puka. Like I said, he's a guy that can definitely nail two of the parts of the triple crown in yards and catches. But we just haven't seen, the high end touchdown numbers yet.
And I'm gonna throw another question at you, Rocco, because I think was another great exercise that shows what players you kind of consider wide receiver ones or potential wide receiver ones that per se, and also showed you the cutoff of what we consider a wide receiver two. right? And where I'm going with this is in the list of guys, I'm going to give you a few that are wide receiver twos. Who can you see moving into a foundational wide receiver, or who could you see moving into a wide receiver one spot? Right. We already spoke about Travis Hunter and Tetra McMillan, so we'll leave that out. But we will. How about like Rasheed Rice, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, Roma Dunze, Terry
Hmm.
McLaurin, DK Metcalf, Jordan Addison, DJ Moore, Xavier Worthy, guys like that, Jalen Waddle, the Chris Olaves. I think we start shoot Tyreek Hill. That's who used to be a find. He has revert. He used to be a foundational wide receiver. He has regressed. That hurts my soul to
Used to
actually
be
say.
a used to be he could put up 1,500 yards and I still wouldn't consider him foundational, just because he is so volatile with his actions. I mean, he's hanging out with Antonio Brown too much, and it makes me worry about
Mm,
the head injuries he may have suffered over the years, because that's definitely, I would probably not want to align myself with such a gentleman while still in the league. He probably parties like a rock star, but that makes me just a little bit nervous. It makes me a little bit nervous that he complains a lot.
mm,
And I know, wide receiver is a diva position, but it always seems like he's trying to force his way out, especially out of Miami. So it kind
mm,
of worries me. But I definitely could see him having a resurgent season. It may not happen in Miami.
for sure. Now, uh, to the previous question, like in the group of wide receiver twos, who could you see moving into that wide receiver one
Hmm.
realm to be even considered a foundational piece? And one, they have to be even young enough to be able to get to that in their prime, like Xavier
Okay.
Worthy, right? Who's still
Hmm.
22.
We're
Jordan
talking about
Addison.
guys outside of outside of my tier one and tier two guys that can kind of jump into those tiers.
Yeah.
I think the easy answer is Rashi Rice. He's kind of showed us the ability to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then he got into a little bit of trouble, and then
Hello.
then Pat Mahomes blew his fucking knee out. But for those first 3 games or so, he was a foundational piece. I just need to see if he's fully healthy, uh, for the full season, and kind of do it for a full season. But he's a guy that can easily, like, he's a guy that we can almost say, like, if we see it early in the season, like, yeah, he's a foundational piece. He just has a few question marks that kind of leave me right outside of that group.
And
And the other guy, I'm sorry, the other guy, like, low key, that I think could get there, and it's probably controversial. But he's shown a lot of the talent. He just quite hasn't put it all together, and this a lot of people won't agree with me. I could see Zay Flowers if he put it all together and he got the targets, because that guy can get open.
the guy that fucked me last year. Hold on, whoa! What the dude? The
No, did
Oh Diddy once again. Holy hell, bro! That shit needs to stop. That shit needs
he?
to stop.
It's getting late in here.
It's getting
Gotta
late,
go.
but no, Zay Flowers. I had a lot of hype about Zay Flowers last year 'cause I thought he was going to take that next step, and he could very much take that step this year.
Hmm.
I think I've heard really good reports about him going into their OTAs, and hopefully that continues. But he might be back on my buy window. He's not
Yeah.
right now, but he could. But
I
Zay.
think a lot of it has to do, like, how much more can Baltimore start opening the offense,
Hmm.
because to me, I believe they have to kind of keep going where the league's going and kind of open up the offense. And I mean, Lamar Jackson's not getting any younger, so I think especially as he gets longer in his career, later in his career, he's going to have to start throwing it a little bit more. And a guy that could benefit from that, especially as Mark Andrews gets a little bit older, could be Zay Flowers.
And we are at the later part of our episode, so I do have one final question for you as we're wrapping up. When we're looking at, our foundational pieces, right? When you're between your tier one of guys and then your tier two of guys, what is the overall trade value between those two groups, right? If when you're looking at it, what would it cost to get a tier one foundational piece compared to a tier two foundational piece for you?
Um, I feel like with the foundational pieces, what I found, like we were talking about last week, is when I trade away a foundational piece without receiving a foundational piece back, I wind up a little disappointed. But I mean, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, they're easily worth 4 first round picks. Like they're worth every bit of a super elite quarterback. Um, maybe you can kind of mix and match with players and picks, but you're gonna have to give up some first to get your hands on those guys. Amon-Ra and CD, um, close to 3 first, right around 3 first. And I'm saying this, saying that you could offer that and you still might get rejected. Like
Hmm.
people just don't want to give these players, especially if they're competing or if they feel like they're close to competing. You probably get fucking shot down real quick
And this,
trying to get these people. But yeah, Puka and Nico, they're easily worth 2 strong first. Uh, Drake London, people might not have caught on yet, so you might be able to get him slightly cheaper, but um, you know, most people are going to probably hang on to him.
this is why I say I target receivers in my startup drafts because they cost typically next to
Hmm.
quarterbacks the most to get. If
Yeah.
they're if you're not getting them in the startup drafts, it's going to, especially if they're young, the young and the elite, like a Brian
Hmm.
Thomas. If Brian Thomas goes stupid this year again, he's going to cost way more. He already costs a lot. Well, he doesn't cost. I won't say a lot, but he costs you. He's not cheap. He's in that kind of in that same realm of Lad McConkey, how it costs to get him.
Oh,
It's going to cost you.
and those guys, those tier two guys that are second year players, we're talking about those guys as far as trade value. Those guys will really come super duper close with the tier one foundational guys. The only thing that separates them is I feel a lot more confident in the production of the tier one guys.
Yeah, because I think I've seen typically like a Lad McConkey. I seen him valued somewhere around. If we're talking about rookie drafts of this current year, 2025, I seen Lad McConkey priced near that 103, that 104. Um, BTJ Brian Thomas Jr. He's at that 103, that 102 area for him. So it really just depends on how you feel about those guys. But yeah, those are the players that we consider foundational tight ends, foundational receivers on
Hmm.
ours. So that was actually, this was a fun series to do between the QBs, the running backs, receivers, and tight ends. But that has been our episode. And once again, it has been brought to you by Fast Draft, the best ball club. Sorry, excuse me, I need some water. The fastest best ball format out there, where you can win over $250,000 in cash prizes playing all rookie, all defense, and all flex formats. And you can use our two promo codes, Fourth and Fourth, to double your first deposit up to $50. I repeat, you can use our two promo codes, Fourth or Fourth, to receive up to $50 and Fast Draft will double your first deposit. This has been really fun, y'all. We hope to catch you again in another episode. Content on content on content. It's not stopping. Fourth and Fantasy is still going. The season is almost upon us. I want the season to start today. I want this shit to be here tomorrow. Actually, honestly, mini camp is I think starting for NFL teams in the next week or so, about week or 2 weeks, and then we got training camp, and then July 31st is the Hall of Fame game. And then we got preseason and more nuggets on the way. And that's even more shit for Sports and Fantasy to talk about. Catch us, and we have more things in store. We got more things working on. You might see us in some other places. We just did a show with Dynasty Dog. We've done a show with our boy Chef. We've done a show with our boy Angelo. We've done our show with our guy D Bro. We're going to be having some more guest content all along the way. Rocco, do you have anything for the audience before we go?
Yes, hit us up in our Discord and join our growing community. We're
No.
having a lot of conversations. A lot of those conversation ends up in the podcast. So you want to join our community, you want to, you know, win championships, join us there.
And that will be in the description where you can find the link to our Discord. Nevertheless, we hope you all have an amazing night, day, wherever time it is. And next time, y'all stay grand, y'all stay great. This is Fourth and Fantasy, home of the Dynasty sickos, fantasy sickos, basketball sickos, the best of sickos, not the weirdos. Fourth and Fantasy, Rocco. This is my guy, Rocco. I'm Honcho. Till next time, y'all enjoy the rest of your night.
Let's go.